How does karma show up in your dreams? Well, today we cover several dreams that are all about karma, and you're going to learn many different symbols and also see some of the wonderful things that people can do with it. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. So excited you're here.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and you on an earth journey. That's why we focus on dreams, because your dreams tell you why you took this earth journey in the first place. So if you want to know what you're meant to be doing right now at this very moment in time, look at your dreams. They're going to tell you everything. They're going to tell you what the obstacles in your life are. They're going to tell you what your potential is, what the superpowers you have are, or as we call them on this show, your spiritual gifts. How are you meant to be helping other people? And then what is blocking you? What's holding you back? And your dreams are going to show you that the things that are holding you back are not actually in the way. They are the way. They're going to be the catalyst for your growth. And it's all about your growth. To get your dream analyzed on our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast, fill in the form that's there, or simply email your dream to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. Sandy.
Wow. Well, Michael, I'm so excited. So we have a channeling webinar coming up, and we had such good feedback from our show from last week about nefarious spirits and things going on, and protections, all of that. So I'm excited to say that's all going to be covered in a free webinar that's coming up on July 24th.
Yes, it's July 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We give you lots of information in our webinars. We want to empower you. So even if you know how to channel, you're going to learn something from this webinar for sure. If you have questions, we have a lot of time for questions at the end. At least that's the intention. We never know how long it's going to go, but we have set aside 2 hours for it. We think it's going to be about 90 minutes. So it's a bit longer than most webinars and things we do. But it's longer because it has a lot more detail in it and people love this particular one. We've only done this year. This is kind of a new webinar for us. So, July 24th, go to dream-analysis.com/channel and you can register for it. And we would love to see you there. Sandy, we didn't do a lot of dreams last week.
No, we didn't. But what I'm excited about is you mentioned spiritual gifts. And so these first couple dreams are all about gifts. And so I'm excited to dive in. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All righty. The first one is titled Charm, and it's from Susan. Seeing a necklace that was a part of a symbol, a very small magnifying glass hanging down with some type of straight line ornamentation on either side. Very interesting, Michael. That's your dream. Good luck. I'm going to stand back and watch this one.
All right. So this is a gift, obviously. Any type of a chain in a dream is about karma, and a necklace is a very common symbol to represent karma. But it's positive at the same time because it says you're here with this particular gift, and the karmic part is you're meant to use this gift to help other people. So I asked her what color was the necklace. She said it was silver. So it tells us that she has an intuitive insight into people's higher selves. And I had to channel on this, of course. I love this part of looking at the symbols and figuring them all out. She said that it actually looked like an upside down peacock feather. So when we have a feather in a dream, we know it's connected to higher selves. So she has this intuitive insight into people's higher selves. She can see the granular detail of what their higher self wants to work on in this incarnation. This is automatic for her. That's what intuition is. You just feel like, I know this is true. The other person's higher self is involved in this, telling her what it is that the person's meant to work on. And she has other gifts, and this just plays beautifully into that. But the magnifying glass anyway tells us that that's where she gets the granular detail. She gets a lot of detail about what a person or their higher self wants this soul in this incarnation to work on. I love it how it's such a small little bit of a dream. Well, it's a whole dream, but it's tiny and it has so much detail.
Yes. Wow, that's intense. Well, since I like the whole necklace aspect, we're going to go with the next dream because it too has to do with a necklace. It's even titled the necklace. And this is from Kay. Let's see. And before I forget, we do have another dream from her that we're going to get to after this one. But I wanted to put this one together with the first one because, well, it's dealing with the necklace. So the dream is I was wearing a lighted necklace. It was on a long chain and had lights all around it that were lit up. There you go, Michael. I love those short dreams. It's amazing how you get so much out of them.
Well, will you see how little I get out of this one? Again, the necklace is about karma, so we know it's a gift that she's meant to use. And then it being lit up is the same as silver. It says that she's intuitive. She gets intuition because that's what lights and dreams are about. But because it's the chain that is lit up, it's basically saying she is the queen of karma. She can work with karma. I channeled on that and it's like, I was almost like, wait, did she invent karma? Is that how cool this is? It wasn't quite that, but they were saying she can rightfully call herself the queen of karma. On the spirit plane, she knows how this system works, how it all works inside out. Beautiful dream.
Wow. And it was like, what, 2 sentences, maybe 20 words? That's pretty amazing. Anyways, we're going to move on to another dream from Kay to back that up to see what they have to say about this one. And this one's titled Stacking the Quilts. Someone's into making quilts, it sounds like. Was at some house and there were several other people there as well. I seemed to know them. There were several huge quilts and the daughter had a quilt display area that you could stack them on. They had an insurance agent, a foreign person, coming out to look at everyone's car. I thought it was annoying because they could just send photos. My brother thought she was being conscientious and thorough. Was then on one of the huge quilts and I was tickling some men and vice versa, like we were all playing around. And they were shy about playing together because they didn't know me well. But we did so anyways. Well,
Right.
Michael, that seems kind of strange.
Well, we already know she's the queen of karma, and then this dream says the same thing. So an insurance agent, and if you download my dictionary, free dictionary at dream-analysis.com, just subscribe or download the dictionary there, you will be able to look these up. But an insurance agent is the classic symbol for karma. So we're not surprised that she has that there. But karma is also masculine. So she's tickling some men and vice versa. But anyway, here's what I got when I channeled on this dream. When I meet someone, I can see their karma on display and check that everything is in order and tell them what they need to address to fix some of the things that might be off. In special cases, she has permission to fix the issue. That's what makes her the queen. But she has to check if it's okay to do that first. So here's the thing about karma. Don't interfere with somebody else's karma. You can't. If you do, you get karma. And it could be bad. It could be pretty bad for you to get karma because you're basically nullifying somebody else's life or their purpose or whatever it happens to be. So for her to be told she can step in and do something about a person's karma. First of all, how on earth can she do that? She has to have a special gift in order to be able to do it. And she does. She knows how this all works on the insides. She sees the cogs and the wheels and everything else that's turning to make this happen. Then the last part is people are going to be shy about opening up around her. So she's tickling these men on a quilt. They're playing around, but they're shy about playing around, but they still do it. It's true for anybody who works in a field where you help other people in a therapeutic kind of field. People have to get to a point where they trust you before they let you do anything deep or they'll share anything deep. And so she still has this space where people are shy to open up around her. Eventually that can go away. Certainly has in my case. But I think a lot of the reason it's gone in my case is because people hear the show, they know me well before they ever meet me. And it's like, okay, I trust you, which is fine. But anyway, that's what her dream is about. I love the dream and I love the gift that she has.
It seems kind of unique. But before we go any further, I have to have questions. What are quilts?
So normally quilts are about guilt. It would be a pun on guilt, but it's not in her case. When I channeled on it, they said the quilts represent karma because it's a patchwork of things stitched together that you're like, this is okay. When you put all these pieces together, this is my life, or this is whatever it happens to be. And so in her dream, it represents karma in the sense of all the different energies, all the different pieces, all the past lives, etc., all coming together to be the tapestry of this life, let's say.
Oh, that's amazing. And then what about her brother?
So it's a masculine energy. Karma is a masculine energy. It's very ordered. The
Mm-hmm.
cars are another symbol for karma. And so this is her ability to check people's karma. And she's the one that's annoyed in the dream, which is kind of funny. But this is her gift. And her brother is a super conscientious person himself. She says he always is very inclusive, very, very positive, always positive. And so he's telling her, look, this is just a way of being thorough. So he's, let's say, positive masculine energy, again, with masculine being karmic, pointing out that like checking on a person's karma, making sure everything is in order. And karma is all about order, sequence rather than duration and that sort of thing. Like this first, then this, then this, then this. It's all about order, structure, etc. And so she's got this ability to check all those things because whatever the guide in your dream can do, you can do. And the insurance agent, because they have a title or a guide, and they're checking all this stuff for everybody. And so it's just funny how we saw in the last dream, it's about karmic and her being the queen of karma. And then here we have the insurance agent, we have the cars, we have the quilts, all being karmic things. And then working with masculine energy and so on, all fits together.
You know, Michael, you had mentioned about the writer last week, and we didn't have time to cover that dream. So I want to dive into that dream before we go into another one. Does that work for you?
Maybe.
Anyways, the title of this dream is called The Writer, and it's from Amy. And this was a lot longer, but I think we cut it down just to cover the part that you talked about last week, where you had gotten attacked and that what a writer really is supposed to be and how this was different. So are you ready to dive in?
I am.
All righty. So this is the dream. We were all looking at a dream we were interpreting. I heard a guy say that Jane had a writer, like someone tagging along with her. She was unaware. Michael hadn't heard and asked what was said. And I told him, Jane has a writer. So Michael started to text Jane to let her know and ask for permission to clear her. The guy doing the dream seemed a little annoyed that Michael would text her. Ooh, that's very good, Michael. I like this.
Yes. And that's me in a dream there. So it's always interesting when I show up in a dream and I do something. So that would be out of order to say, hey, let's clear the writer. So for me to have done that in somebody else's dream means that in that state, I knew there was something wrong there. And I check these things too. I run it against other people, Sandy, you many times, but I run it against other people as well. And so in this case, it was a spirit pretending to be a writer who didn't have the permission to be there, but had a contract. Everything looked squeaky clean on the surface. And so somebody had tried to clear this writer already, and then they ended up coming back. And that's fine, because if I've got a contract in the spirit world and somebody yanks me away from where I'm entitled to be, I can show up in court and say, here's my contract, and I will be escorted back by very powerful beings to say, yes, this is your position, you're allowed to be here. So this had already happened and was very strange. So escalated it up to somebody who can deal with that level of nonsense. And sure enough, found out that everything the writer had was forged. It wasn't a proper contract. They were kind of sneaked into like a writer position, even though they weren't a writer themselves. And we got it dealt with. And of course, the attacks happened because they didn't like getting caught out. And we see that annoyance, like, oh, please don't pay any attention to the writer over there, which is the guy in the dream saying, I'm annoyed that you're actually dealing with this with that person, you know. Also interesting that it happened. So had you more questions about writers, or had we covered it well, Sandy?
Well, just a few more questions, because I don't know that people have ever really heard that term from us before. And we mentioned it last week, and there were some questions that came in. And so I thought it might be good if we just clarified it a little bit. So what is a writer and what are they here for?
This is an agreed mechanism that's there, and it's usually used by a very high level spirit. So somebody who's already a high level angel, they're here on the earth plane, not necessarily to grow, but to lend their energy to this place. And their energy is such that they can have a really negative spirit in their space, and that negative energy will not expand in their space. It just can't. There's too much light already there. But I was told they should be left where they are. They can do nothing. It's just part of the system that's already there to help souls. It's all about being compassionate and helping souls move into the light. They do nothing. Nobody else knows they're there. No other negative spirits can use the rider to do anything nefarious. Does that explain it, Sandy?
It does. And the very interesting thing about this dream, though, is this being was not really a rider. And that's the part that was interesting about this dream and all the information that you shared.
Yeah, so it is different in this dream. And so it was quite surprising. But what, like I said, what made it stand out is that in the dream state, so in this person's dream, I'm saying we need to get rid of that rider. That is enough for me to go, okay, why would I say that in the dream state? Here's what's always interesting. If somebody says, I dreamt about you and you interpreted my dream, I noticed this many, many years ago. The interpretation that is given by me in somebody else's dream is always spot on. So what's actually happening is you are having an astral encounter. You're having a dream, meeting me on the astral plane, and I'm telling you what the dream means. And then I show up supposedly in your dream, telling you what it means. It's just you've pulled that into your memory into another dream. So here it was an astral encounter where I'm saying, hey, this rider's a bad egg. This one needs to be dealt with. And it turned out it wasn't a rider at all. It's somebody who's pretending to be one and hoping to get overlooked because of the system that's there to allow them. Very unusual, though. Probably never see this again.
Nope. And it was very interesting because the poor person that had this going on, it made her life miserable. And so now hopefully things will change. And I know we covered that last week, but I thought it was good to add in this dream because we had a lot of questions about it. All right, let's move on to another dream. This one is called Grocery Store and it's by Jane. The scene is something of me often buying meat from the same guy at the meat counter in the same store. We have developed a rapport. This time when I'm going to the grocery, I feel like buying an oatmeal raisin cookie. Now, that sounds yummy to me. However, I walked in the same way and still passed by the meat counter. There was many guys at the counter asking if I wanted anything. Can they help me? I laughingly questioned, why did I walk through that way? Later, I returned, and now the people serving are all in the gallery above, waiting to be asked. Fortunately, I see the guy I usually work with is near, so I specifically asked him for some chicken. I realize they aren't busy because most everyone buys prepackaged meat. I wondered how I started buying direct. He comes down to help me. Very interesting, Michael.
All right. So you probably need to cover your ears, Sandy, because you're a vegetarian.
No, I'm vegan, Michael. Forget the vegetarian thing. It's the vegan. I just don't like the dairy either.
All right. But cover your ears doubly so.
Okay, good.
The spirit world does not have a problem with people eating meat. Now,
Nope,
if you're
not at all.
If you're not meant to eat meat, your dreams will tell you and the spirit world will tell you. And I will say this, another thing I've noticed, people who have very, very, very high energy are often the people who are vegetarian or vegan. And they usually take an issue. It's like I have an intolerance to dairy, an intolerance to meat, an intolerance, you name it. And their intake is very restrictive. And they don't know why. But here's what happens when that is the case. You start cutting out the foods that your body can't take, and you become lighter and lighter and lighter. Your vibration goes higher and higher and higher. And eventually you just say, hey, I can hear my guides. How is that happening? It's happening because you have picked a karmic way of ensuring that you get onto the path where you can do what you do. Usually they're always trans channels. But anyway, it's always interesting to note there is a correlation between issues in our life, paths that we are forced to take, and the gifts that we have that we are meant to be using to help other people. So anyway, my point is we're not always told don't eat meat. A lot of people are told you need to eat meat because you don't get the vitamins or etc. that you need, the minerals you need from the other foods that you eat. And so here we know it's positive because she's going into a supermarket, into a grocery store, and then we have all these guides because they're the staff in the store, and they're saying, hey, can we help you? They're at the meat counter. So they're trying to encourage her to buy meat. So we know definitely this is what's happening for this dreamer. She's been told. And because of the variety that's there, the dream is saying, look, you need to vary the meat you eat. Don't just keep eating the same thing. And then later on, she says, they're all up high and they come down to help me. So again, emphasizing these are beings at a high level that are looking and helping me and saying, we will help you discern what type of meat you're meant to eat at this moment in time. So don't just go, I'm going to buy all this and eat this week. It's like, what do you feel like you need to eat today? And do it that way, because then your guides are going to pop in and say, here's what you need. And here's what you need in another situation. And they will be different. So really, really cool to see it. The other thing it says, when you see the guides coming down to help you, it means they're also blessing the food that you've got. That's definitely happening for you. And the food that she eats helps her achieve her goals. Like that's what it is true for all of us. Sandy, you can unplug your ears now.
Thank you. What about the prepackaged meats? What's up with that?
Well, she was told to buy direct, So
Okay.
again, the direct here is, and she does, in fact, in reality, she goes to the butcher and asks the butcher, like, what's a good meat today? Like, what would you suggest, etc. And so they want her to continue doing that. Don't get the prepackaged stuff. Buy the stuff that the butcher has just put there and prepared for you, because it's usually going to come from one animal rather than 30 like you might get in prepackaged stuff. And it might be 300 even with prepackaged stuff. And so when they want to bless something, they want to make sure they know what you're getting. It's wholesome. It's good for you. And it is meant to be good for you.
I like the fact she gets to eat meat, though. That's cool. This one doesn't have a title, but it's from Kara, and it says a triangle on top of a circle or some configuration. And that's her one-line dream. There you go. Good luck on that one, Michael.
So I love how she gives me these dreams. Sometimes they're like short, super short, even shorter than this. And so what it means is the triangle is about meditation, putting mind, body, and soul behind things. And the circle is about the heart. So the dream is saying, meditate on matters of the heart, but follow your heart. So very specific, beautiful little dream. It's poetic, really. I mean, all dreams are poetic in an amazing way. But I love how this one is like, meditate on your heart, but follow your heart.
Well, Michael, I don't know. I don't think we have enough time to cover the next set of dreams that we've got. So you want to talk a little bit more about the channeling event you got coming up?
Yes, indeed. Go to dream-analysis.com/channel. And I give a bullet point list there, very short, about what we cover. But basically, it's years and years and years of experience has led us to put this together. Now, when we started teaching people how to interpret dreams, which is a few years back now, I knew I was going to have to teach people how to channel. And I was kind of holding back on a lot of the pieces. Channeling or communicating with beings in the light is like going into the woods on the earth plane, and you know that there's bears and wolves and various other things and cougars, but it's not going to stop you from going in and having fun and going to the places you want to go to. You just need to know what way do you need to protect yourself in those woods, what do you need to watch out for, etc., and you're going to have no problem. And channeling is the same way. But I thought, I'm just going to tell people how to do it right and not focus on any of the things they need to avoid. But it turns out everybody wanted to know about that. They want to know about protectors. They want to know, how do I check myself to make sure I'm clear? And it became a huge feature of our course. So I talk about it in the webinar. I'm going to cover all the things that we do and things that I've learned over the many, many years of channeling and teaching people how to channel. But at the end of that, we're going to open the floor to Q&A. We don't know what anybody's going to ask, but it's always the most fun part, I think, of the whole event, because people are asking questions from the heart, questions about issues that they've run into. And we have seen a lot. So we can answer a lot of those questions. always fun.
You know, Michael, there are some people that are very afraid to channel. I mean, I was there at one time. Maybe you could cover just a little bit of nuances of that.
Well, here's the thing. If you are meant to be channeling, it'll show up in your dreams, but also you will have been channeling anyway, spontaneously in your life. It will be under the radar. You will be channeling, but not realizing you're channeling. So a lot of the time in the first class, so we do 5 weeks of clearing, and then you have a class with me. And in that class, I'm going to say where you need to grant to. And then I'm going to tell you what your mechanism is. I will give you a question, and I'll ask you to just think about the question. And that allows me look at you, look at your energy field, and see what your channel is built like, and say, oh, you get images, or you hear your guides, or you need to get into a kind of meditative state that does this, 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 and so on. And there are so many different ways that it works. But there is a resonance when I say this is your mechanism. People are like, oh, I do that. Yeah, I do hear my guides. I didn't know it was my guides. And so there really isn't a fear in it. Quite the opposite, in fact, quite the opposite. When you can channel, it just feels absolutely wonderful. Your guides and the angels that work with you have more love for you than anybody on the earth plane could ever demonstrate to you. And when you can make that connection, it feels so beautiful in so many ways. Especially if you're trans channeled, when people hit that, and that, that's not everybody, but we had 50 people in our last class, about 3 people were trans channels, and it's the most blissful experience that they've ever had till that moment, and they can't wait to channel again, and they can't wait. And so we cover all that. There's nothing to be afraid of in it. We show you how to do it properly, and we also protect you in the first number of weeks, and then we slowly take the training wheels off. We will get you to make the connection on your own. I'm watching it, and I'll be able to tell you what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong, what you need to fix. And then if you drift out of the sweet spot of your connection, I'll be able to spot it. It's a lot of fun. People love it. And there's nothing to be afraid of at all. But I understand why people would have that fear. And I understand it enough to where I was going to hide all the negative stuff that is true about the spirit world. It's not true about channeling. It's true about everything. Whether you ever channel or not, this is true about the spirit world. And, so it's nothing to do with our course and nothing to do with channeling, but I do share it with you. And then I do tell you how to spot whether you're clear, whether your channel's clear, and what to do to fix it. We have other people involved in our course. We have Mitran. He does the protection specialist work, tells you all about protection. And he tells you what type of protectors you have. Do you have a dragon? Do you have a gorilla? Do you have whatever it is? He covers all of that. Everybody loves that. They can't get enough of him. And then for the first time, we're bringing Kimbra into our very next course. That's the course that starts on August 4th. And her specialty is when you can already channel, she will come in and she'll hold your hand energetically, and she will bring your vibration up to the highest it's ever been. And it really is glorious, because then you're like, oh, this is me at my full potential. And most people, after the 1 or 2 sessions with her, they stay at that very, very high level. But that's new. We've already trialed it a little bit, and we're happy to make it a permanent part of the course. dream-analysis.com/channel, July 24th at 10 a.m. I'll expect about 90 minutes, and maybe we'll go over that. It's well worth your while. If you can't make it, sign up, because you'll get the recording.
Yep. Well, Michael, I think that's all the time we have for this week, too. And I can't believe it. We're in the middle of our summer already.
Is that what you call what we're having? All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.